Oh, okay. We are back. I think last time I was cooking, I had short sleeves on, and it's been very chilly since then. We're in full-on fall mode all of a sudden, uh, and that's good. Oh, I should grab my apples. That's good because fall food is coming in. Uh, and if you'll recall from last, so let me preface. I reorganized the kitchen, but the parts that I reorganized are the parts that you can't see, so it looks exactly the same from your end, which is great. I've given myself tons more room. My knives are right here. I can pull them off the side of the wall. I found a place to put a knife block. Uh, Fancy, but you can't see any of that. Uh, but I interrupted myself. Last week, we skipped Saturday because after last week's show, decided to reorganize my kitchen so I could have more space. And by the time Saturday morning rolled around, rather, by the time Friday night rolled around, this was not ready to go. And I didn't want to stay up late to do it. So Saturday morning would have been out. But I do have a gift from the guests who showed up last Tuesday, and that was bags of apples from their home apple trees. So they're here. I'll pop over. Oops, get rid of that. I will pop over and show the apples off. So they're small apples. Some of them are very small apples, but we've got a little bit of a variety. And I want if you'll think back, I made that pork steak with the strawberry sauce in the spring when strawberries were in season. Well, apples are in season. I want to try a similar thing. I've got another pork steak. It's been waiting for me coming up to room temperature. So I'm going to make an applesauce, but I'm not going to make applesauce. This is a bitty, teeny tiny apple. Hi, Sizan. It's not applesauce. It's a sauce made of apple for meat. We'll see how that works. I also want to do a quick marinade. So we're going to get that started first. Deal with the apples in a sec. We're going to get this started first. Uh, the reason I've got some onions already ready to go here, we had a frost last night. I brought all my potted plants inside. A bunch of the onions fell over, so I cut the fallen over parts, and we're going to use those somewhere today. Uh, Tonight, we have scheduled a hard freeze. So I guess the plants are going to stay inside for a little bit. I have to get around to doing a harvest for my herbs, and I can dry them. I wish you could see the parts of the kitchen that I changed, but they're all the parts that the cameras don't point at. Anyways, get that meat out of that butcher paper. So this is a pork shoulder steak. Shoulder blade steak. You can see the shoulder blade. I can't remember what part this compares to on a beef steak, but this is a very nice piece of pork. I quite like it. It's cheap because I guess people aren't using it very much. It cooks a lot like a beef steak, in my opinion. Um, and it's just the only thing you got to deal with is this kind of funny shaped bone in the middle, which isn't that much more challenging than like dealing with T-bone with that funny shaped bone in the middle. And it's really cheap right now. This steak of this size, and it's not the thickest in the world, but it's not like a skinny little shaving. It's about that yay thick. This was under $3 for this size steak. Um, for an equivalent piece of beef, this would have been probably 4 times the price, at least. So I'm encouraging the use of this particular cut of pork. Throw my sleeves up a little bit so I don't get stuff. And the last time I made something with this cut of pork, I loved it. It's probably the favorite thing I've made here for the show. Just a such a good thing. Hi, Bookwoman. Welcome in. Who needs a large bag or perhaps just a tray for a quick marinade? Nope, that's not going to work either. Okay. So we'll just get that guy in here. It's just going to sort of sit around and do a quick marinade while I prep other stuff. Because once I get to actually cooking it, it doesn't take very long. It cooks a lot like a beef steak. You don't have to really cook it super, super long. I picked one out. I managed to pick one out that has the bone. This bone is a weird shape in a lot of them, where it gives you this little like T, but it's kind of like diagonal T. It's literally a cross section of shoulder blade. This one is nice and straight. So I picked one out specifically. And I'm just going to sort of start to construct a marinade right here in this tray. And I've got the lid for it over here. And then that can just sit on the side while I prep other stuff. Ooh, a couple things to put away as well. I gave myself more room to work with, and then I immediately filled it with apples. Let me move the apples real quick. Since I don't need them just right now. So that I can set things to the side as I need them, as I need to. Okay. Because one thing I did is right here, right at the top edge of the screen, there is now an object. I will show this off for the first time ever on stream because it's always been in the wrong spot. My spice rack has moved and is directly above the camera now for easy access. But it does constrict the space where I would just sort of shove things up there. They now have to go to the side. Oh, I should move the gentlemen. They're also in the way right now. Sorry, gentlemen. Still getting a little bit used to the new positioning. Supposedly, I've got a workspace, and then when I'm not working, instead of having weird little cluttered things around here, they can all go over to this new staging space, which is where the pork is going to go right now because I'm going to grab one of those apples. I've decided I'm going to throw an apple into the marinade like you would with a bulgogi. They would use a Asian pear, but an Asian pear is very similar to an apple. And it's the enzymes and the acids that you're after. And apples have those as well. Just got to get that core out. You guys are lucky. Well, depending on your opinion, maybe unlucky. I was going to try to cook a meme today. It's still on my docket. I want to do it soon while the meme is still in people's minds. You may have heard of NyQuil chicken. Well, challenge accepted. And as far as I'm concerned, I want to try making that nonsense. That'd be a good title. NyQuil chicken. How do I want to slice these? I don't want to take the skins off. Guess I just want to mince. I do have to make NyQuil chicken. It's a requirement because I want to recreate that flavor. Also, hi Shining Spear. It's not what we're making this time because I couldn't find a reasonably sized container of NyQuil to taste. The big bottles are expensive, and I don't need NyQuil. I was hoping to find one of those little single serve things, but nobody has those in the green flavor. They had them in the red flavor, but that's not NyQuil chicken. Okay. Sometimes you sacrifice the integrity. Fair point. Sometimes you have to sacrifice the integrity if you're cooking for stupid internet memes. Every chef gets there eventually. I'm just trying to get this minced up because I don't want to get out my grater and grate this. But it needs to be small enough that it'll reliably express a lot of its juices. And I need to do it quick because apple starts oxidizing real quick. Once I get the acid in there, because we're going to throw some vinegar in, it'll stop oxidizing. But okay. A couple of bits landed on my freshly cleaned floor. Yes, I realize that putting NyQuil on chicken is not actually a good idea. Hey, Chemical, we're talking about NyQuil chicken. I'm not literally putting NyQuil on it. What I want to do is recreate the flavor of NyQuil, which I think should be doable. Because, of course, the whole reason it's a meme is that the FDA has come out and said, please don't eat NyQuil chicken. It's very dangerous. And the problem I'm running into is that I've never had NyQuil. I don't know what it tastes like. And when I ask people, there is not a clear consensus. And I think that's probably because it tastes like medication. I want to make it taste good. I want to capture the flavors in NyQuil and make it an actual dish, but also make it a weird acidic green. My understanding is that it has an anise seed flavor. And I'm wondering if I can make an anise tarragon Tide Pods. I'm wondering if I can make an anise and tarragon based marinade, and then I would do a braise to see if I can get that green color to really get into that chicken. Anyways, that's not today's project because I was trying to find my apple cider vinegar bottle. The lid was always stuck. There we go. The lid always gets restuck. Do this quick. Vinegar is going to start cooking the surface of the meat, which I don't necessarily want. but it's going to help prevent the oxidation as well. We're going to throw these green onions in there. I'm trying to rush through this part because I want this to be marinating and ready, and I can putz around a little bit. It could be a reference. From my reading about NyQuil chicken, it apparently has been a recurring meme since 2017. It predates TikTok, although its recent popularity is connected to TikTok. Although its recent popularity was very, very minor until the FDA came and said something about it. So I'm not sure. I'm adding some water to this because I think the acid is too concentrated in just the vinegar. I've also heard that it tastes like cherries and sour milk, but I've also heard that it tastes like anise and or licorice. Here's something I've discovered after all my talking about how I never use brown sugar. Turns out I had some brown sugar in a peanut jar in the back of one of my cupboards, and it's not rock hard. So I'm going to use it up. Uh, yeah. So the NyQuil, they sell shots. I found shot-sized NyQuils at a gas station. I'm not even talking about the cooking I'm doing. I'm talking about hypothetical cooking. This is a good cooking show. I I should be describing what I'm cooking. I know that it was forgotten in the back cupboard for who knows how long, and it wasn't rock hard. I'm shocked. Uh, it was easy, crumbly, easy to get out of there. I'm just throwing herbs and there's no herbs in here. I'm throwing apples and onions and vinegar and stuff. What else did I find in reorganizing the kitchen? I didn't find a lot else. I did end up consolidating a few things. The spice rack is now right above the camera line here. I could just grab things. I got a whole mess of dill seed from the farmer's market, and I put that in a jar. You can't probably see it if I angle the whole thing here. Brace yourselves, you're moving. Problem is I'm tethered to part of the wall. You can't quite see it. I have a knife magnet. That's there. There's a knife on it. I have a knife magnet that's been put up. I found a spot to squeeze it in between the cupboard. I can't swivel that camera too much because I'm tethered by all the cables. And that freed up some room because the knife block is no longer on the counter, so I could push stuff around and make myself some more room. What do we got in here? Apples, green onions, soy sauce, brown sugar, vinegar, black pepper, salt. Yeah. Anything else I think goes in there while I'm just throwing stuff at this? Water in there. Yep. Good shout. Good shout. Anything else should go in here while I'm just throwing stuff at this? It's going to sit here and soak. I should probably taste it. Vinegary. Vinegary, vaguely salty, kind of sweet. Throw some MSG in there. That's probably good. We can't let it sit too long because the vinegar will make the meat go acidy on me, or mushy on me. The acid will make the meat go mushy on me. So we'll set that aside and let it think about itself. And I will move this cutting board because it had some raw stuff on it. Bring out the other cutting board. Oh, I've still got some clean pots on the stove, ready to go. Got to move. We're not using all of those. They were there because they were drying. Okay. Part 2. I want to make an apple sauce, but not an apple sauce. For that, I've got a bag of apples. They're a different kind of apple than the one I just used. That one was a little bit of a tart apple. These are a little bit sweeter. I forget the names of all the varieties of the apples. And for these, I don't want the skin. I can get a hold of the skins here. And we'll see if we can find any worms. Ah, shoot. Losing chunks of apple. So I've got an idea of where I'm headed, but I'm totally winging this. I have no recipes today. We are just seeing where life takes us. Talking about NyQuil. Yes, those are the varieties that you brought, dinner guest. But I had also one from Fox Familiar Farms' neighbor's apple tree, which was quite tart, and we weren't sure what the variety was. And that's the one I diced up and threw in the pork. So I thought a tartar apple would perform better there. Of course, you can peel your apples like this. How do you peel apples? It's a peeler. I mean, if you do them round and round, you probably lose less, but I'm not good enough to do them round and round. Some people do potatoes. I don't peel potatoes like that. Appealing. I mean, if you really want to develop your knife skills, peeling with a paring knife is an option. But if all you want is a thing that has the skin taken off, they make a thing for that. It's called a peeler. I actually would recommend for something like an apple the peeler that goes the other way, so it's got a little Y on the end, and then the blade is perpendicular, because then you can hold and drag. Because apples are a little bit, these apples especially are a little bit small for this peeler. But yeah, you should get a peeler, Saizan. They work wonders. You could potentially go round and round with the skins get stuck in the blade sometimes. You could potentially go round and round with one of these too, and just get one long thing. But I don't have the patience for that. No worms so far. That's a good sign. Oh, my first instinct whenever I want to take the peel off of something is to reach for the peeler. I only reach for a knife if the peeler fails. Uh, like the breadfruit, I tried doing it with a peeler, and the little scales on the outside all want to separate from each other, so you don't get peels. You just get like little shredded scales. You really have to go at that with a knife. I've also tried peeling squashes with a peeler, and in their case, I've actually got one right here. In their case, the peels are so thick that you can't get that little blade to bite on them. If you had a larger peeler, I think you could do those big guys with it. Well, you've learned something, and that's all I could ask for with people visiting my nonsense, is that you go away with something, whether you've learned a new skill or you've just been mildly entertained, or you've been disgusted by whatever bullshit pardon my language, whatever crazy concoctions I've come up with. Oh, I've got a new toy too. I'll show you in a sec. We'll have to take the tops and bottoms off of these just because I can't get the peel out of that middle part with the stem. Um, Probably should have topped and bottomed them first. Yeah, a serrated peeler would definitely go into a butternut squash. These little straight peelers just don't have the enough bite on their blade for that. Okay, and we also got to take the core, at least the seedy part of the core, out of these guys. So there's still a little bit of cleanup to do on them. And we didn't have any seeds in it. Ooh, and that one's got brown spots on the inside. We might. No, they're not. They are a little bit soft. That one might be a lost cause. Okay. Quick way to take the core out is to quarter them and then slice straight down, which I should have done with the first guy, with the ones I put in with the meat as well. These are being cooked, so I'm not worried about getting all the little hard part of the core out. These are getting turned into a sauce, some description. I had an idea, and I think I'm going to run with it, of combining apples with radishes. I think apple and radish is a potential good combination. I have not familiar with it existing already. I'm sure somebody else has tried it. Oop, that one didn't quite get all of his seed out. You do definitely want to get the seeds out of apples. The seeds, they don't contain a lot of it, but they do contain a little bit of, oh, is it arsenic or cyanide? I forget. One of those two. I think it's cyanide. Uh, so it's advisable that you not eat apple seeds. If you accidentally eat one, it's not a lot, so it's not like it's going to kill you, but just, be mindful and remove them. I'm going to get a bowl ready, put these guys in there with a spritz of lemon juice. I don't have a melon baller, no. That would be a good idea for coring apples, especially apples of a certain size. I think these might be too shrimpy, but it could work. But I don't have a melon baller, so all speculation at this point. A spritz of acid. In the case of the marinade, I used vinegar. In the case of this, I'm going to use some lemon, which will also contribute to our finished sauce. Acid stops fruit from oxidizing. Acid stops lots of things from oxidizing. I wouldn't recommend using it on things that are sensitive to acids, though, because it will corrode them. Fortunately, fruits are not terribly sensitive to acids. The mechanism, in a brief chemistry lesson, acids are defined by having loose hydrogen atoms, hydrogen ions, that want to grab onto stuff. So what's happening is when oxygen encounters the stuff, it's bumping into those acid molecules in it, and the acids are grabbing the oxygen before it's able to oxidize the apple underneath. So it's not stopping the oxidation. What it's doing is slowing it down by intercepting a large portion of the oxygens. Improvising in the kitchen is what we do all day long. I would expect nothing less from all of you. Trying to speed this up a little bit. Developing a method for dicing these apples. I got to work out how to save bits of that guy. Not that I have a shortage of apples. I could definitely grab another one. But hey, improvising in the kitchen, that's what I'm doing now. I have a general concept of what ingredients I'm using. And I'm just kind of seeing what becomes of them. Just wait till you get to part 3. The part that's not mentioned in the title. It involves a cucumber. Oops. This is the wrong shaped bowl for this. They want to fly out a little bit. Okay. That guy, yeah. It's just a part of it here that's got a little too much brown for my taste. Right through the middle. Actually, not even that much of the whole apple. Yeah, not even that much of the whole apple. Was not that hard to salvage. Um, uh, having some structure in your cooking, like literal chaos, is hard to turn into food a lot of the time. You've got to at least know what things do, where they're supposed to go in context of other ingredients. I'm expecting these to shrink up as I cook them, so I did do quite a lot of them. We probably could have gotten away with less than this. I think I'm going to have extra sauce when I get to the end. Okay. Apple. Squirt of lemon to prevent it from going all crazy brown on me. Okay. Quite a lot of apple. Probably don't need to use all that, and I can do some snacking apple. Since I already mentioned the cucumber, I'm going to get the cucumber out now so I don't forget about it. But the next step, the next thing I'm working on is this boy. He's got a few little roots coming off of him. And I want to say I want about that much to go with that amount of apple. But I think I've got more apple than I'm going to be able to use, or that I'm looking for. So I think we're going to. Tell you what, I'm going to take the dirty tip off. That part's definitely getting tossed. And then I'm going to peel it while it's still on the thing. It's much easier to peel it when you've got the back end to hold on to. Oh, I should have said, I just called this the big boy. This is a daikon radish, which I think is going to provide a good flavor for some kind of apple radish chutney thing, which is where I am headed with my project. A chaotic whirlwind of perfection in which you haven't written anything down. That sounds very familiar, except for the perfection part. Okay, and then we just whack the peeled end off. I love this stuff. You just take a slice and eat it. And it's fresh and juicy and radishy, but not like punch you in the face radishy like the little red ones are. It's a mild radish flavor. It's tasty. It's a good snack. Just raw daikon. Maybe a little bit of a salty sauce. Or a sweet sauce. Or a salty and sweet sauce. And they're surprisingly affordable as well. Vegetable of this size, for a vegetable of this size that is not a typical American vegetable, these are very, very comparable in price to other things like carrot or cucumber or other big vegetables like this. Cheaper than breadfruit. Okay. How do you make a chutney? Chutney. Uh-huh. We're not doing a hour-long thing. We're doing a quick one. Chutney is such a broad term. Blah, blah, blah. These aren't even recipes. They're just put these ingredients together. Become chutney. Ours is going to be cooked down a bit. And for that, I want a dab of oil. I'm not sure how it works for things, other things. I know that daikon is a different variety of radish from the little red ones. So it's not just a matter of the same kind of radish growing up and getting less intense. But I'm not sure. That could warrant some research. Okay, that's good. We're going to throw our apples into that pan. I'm just going to do all of them. I'm hoping the apples are going to reduce a bit as they cook, but there's a lot of them. So we'll see. And they're going to want a little bit of salt. Yes, salt. Because I'm not making applesauce. I'm making some kind of savory apple chutney. But also sugar. But less than I put in of salt. We're going to throw the daikon in a little bit later because I have decided that I want to throw it in later. So that's going to start cooking. We've so far got radish, apple, salt, sugar, lemon juice. What else could go in there? We could go with apple pie spice. Make it like a savory apple pie sauce. That's an idea. That's an idea. Savory apple pie sauce. I'm going to move the bag of apples out of the way. You've got ginger. I don't have any raisins. I don't want to add a bunch of liquid to it because I'm pretty sure it's going to express liquid from the apple as it starts cooking. Get a spatula out, push it around. Salt, especially with the salt in there, that should help draw moisture out. But I could throw in maybe a little bit of wine. trying to think what else I've got. Well, cinnamon is a possibility. I was saying potentially apple pie spice, which is similar to pumpkin spice. In fact, it might be the same mix. What's in apple pie spice? Nutmeg, star anise, allspice, ginger, and cloves. So the same things from pumpkin spice, except cinnamon, nutmeg, anise, except it's got star anise as well. Where's my star anise? Where's my star anise? That was something I found when I was reorganizing. A jar of star anise. And I put it away because I hardly use it. But here it is. They should be mango. Star anise is a pretty strong flavor, so I'm just going to grab 2 of these things and take them over to the pot here and just put them in. And we're going to do the ginger. Got a knob of ginger here. Good to know. I'm going to ask not to drop spoilers directly into chat because I don't know if people who are reading will want the spoilers, but if you are interested, apparently there's hot news right now. Thank you for the breaking latest from Chemical. From our friend Chemical. Star anise, I think, would do quite well in the NyQuil chicken, yes. Get that little knob off the end there. Part of my ginger looks like it's gone over the hill a little bit. This brown part is a little bit soft, and that's not a good sign. So, but I would definitely be interested in reading more about Deadpool 3 on my own time. Thanks for the heads up. I'm just going to mince the ginger, throw it in with the apples, let it cook down a little bit. This is meant to be a topping or a condiment for meat. So I am going to attempt, at least, to amp the flavors. Oh, well, there you go. Something on YouTube. Ooh, that's already smelling quite like a thing. Salted apple. Oh, interesting. Interesting. This has already got a very fascinating smell. Like it smells like applesauce. It smells like hot apple, but not just. In a moment, it's going to smell like ginger. So we've got ginger, star anise, apple. I think I want to skip the cinnamon, but I should have clove here somewhere. Yep, there we go. I don't have to grind my own clove. I do have some pre-ground clove. I'm going to add some clove. Clove is another strong flavor. I've been watching a channel lately. Speaking of herbs, just getting off topic, talking about spices. I've been watching a channel, and they keep pronouncing the name of a spice that I thought was pronounced one way, and I've been calling it anise, but specifically anise seed. Is that how you all pronounce that? Anise seed? In goes our radish. We will let the radish catch up to the rest of this before I go for a taste, but the apple's getting quite soft, so I'm pleased with our progress. Um, Anise. Here's the thing: what this person on YouTube was saying was not changing the anise part; it was changing the seed part because it's one word. Aniseed is often written as one word, and they were instead of pronouncing it as seed, we're pronouncing it anised, very very consistently. And I have never heard that before, and it seemed very strange because there are two e's. Putting that daikon away. I was wondering if anyone had heard such a thing before. You know what there's not in my marinade? Garlic. Huh. Just realized there's no garlic in my marinade. Quick question. Splash of white wine in the chutney, yay or nay? Done. Oh, that was more than a splash. We'll cook that down. Quarter cup of white wine in the chutney. Uh, it seemed a little dry, and I wanted to add a liquid, and I think the wine might just be the ticket. But now I definitely have to cook it off a little bit because that was a bit more than I intended for my splash. Okay. Okay. Um, there's apples in there. So yes, there's something sweet in there. Apples. It's the main ingredient. I'm going to let it come together a little bit, and then I'm going to give it a taste and see what I think it needs. At some point, we're going to transfer it to a back burner because this front burner is going to be used for the pork. Oh, I didn't know daikon got sweet when cooked. Well, there's daikon in there as well. And I did give it a pinch of sugar at the beginning. But not like a ton of sugar. There's about half as much sugar as there is salt. Let's taste a little bit of it right now. See how it's doing. Oh, it's very sharp, acidic. The daikon still has crunch. The apples have gone quite soft. Which is what I was hoping. I knew the apples would soften up. The daikon still has a crunch to it, which is also what I was hoping. I'm looking for something with a strong, sharp flavor because I want to serve this with meat. So I think it's actually probably right where I want it to be. It's forming a thick paste. The ginger's not really coming through, but the clove is. I may have gone a little bit over on the clove. Okay. I am going to, right now, do I want to back burner that or just put a lid on it? I'm going to put it on a cold back burner with a lid. That's the wrong lid. Fortunately, my lids are in a awkward place. Oh, and the one I want is the bottom one. Okay. Lid is to help prevent it from drying out a bit. I think the flavor is a good place, though. I don't want the apples to get much mushier than that. So, okay. Back over here. And yes, I know chutneys are good cold, so I'm not worried about it keeping it hot. I was just thinking whether it needed to cook together anymore. I wanted to keep it on the heat on a low, but I think it's good. This guy, cucumber. We're going to take his. Now, he's got a little crinkle on the end here because I cut this edge to use it, and it's been gradually losing moisture, and it's shrinking up the back end as it does. And because it's doing that, I want to use up this whole thing today. Still good on the inside, but I want to use up this whole thing today. I'm making a cucumber salad in which the cucumber, and this is a kind of a seedy one, takes the place of a leafy green. I think this is best done with a seedless cucumber, so you don't get this seedy core. Not that the seedy core tastes bad, it's just that it breaks up the structure so you don't get those nice ribbons. But, oh, where did I put that? There it is. We have a toy that I seldom use, but this is the application for it, and I'm going for ribbons rather than discs. So you and you can move. It's so nice having a space over here on the left where I can just shove things. Mandolin, still in the box, because I keep it in the box. So it's not still in the box. It's been put back in the box since last time I used it. So, one of these guys. And the all-important handguard. You know, I should move this. Okay, I gotta remember how all of the parts of this thing work. It's been a minute since I used it. And I saved the instruction manual. It's already assembled. I don't have to assemble all the parts. It's just got folded up. Okay. So that's the feet. We need something for them to drop into or onto. And I didn't want it to be raised, which is why I took that board away. We're going to use the green, the also seldom used, green cutting board. That's the blade I want. I just need to adjust it to blue, the blue size. There's little colors on the wheel, and they correspond to thicknesses. Let's take a test swipe, see how thick those are. Tastes like a cucumber. I'm going to go one smaller, and I'm going to take a test swipe and see if it doesn't fall apart. That one sticks to the bottom and is paper thin. Okay. The green setting is too thin. They're too papery for my purposes. So we're going with the blue setting, which is a 3mm cut. And it should give me ribbons. And like I said, the seeds are going to destroy the integrity of the very center. So some of these ribbons are going to kind of fall apart like this. Just because I didn't get a seedless cucumber. But, perfect. That guy there. Our horrifying thing here. One of the most terrifying tools ever. The handguard for any mandolin. This should result in a ribboned cucumber in mere seconds. Perfect. Exactly what I was hoping for. And in fact, I could probably just, pull these seedy pieces in half like a zipper. But perfect. If you've ever wanted to know how they make those ribbony slices of vegetables, this is the tool that does it. We got one little end piece here that I guess I'm just going to snack on. Because the skin is a little bit tough when it's just the skin. So yeah. And that is a mandolin. And all you got to do is press that, because this button on the top of the thing here controls the height of the catcher. So it's a little teeth, little spikes, and then there's a plate that pushes the thing off the spikes. So you press it down so the spikes go through your food. And then as you're slicing them, you press down on this button, and it makes sure that the food notches down closer to the blade every time you take a pass. Otherwise, it'll ride up and miss the blade, but it won't like damage anything. And then you just do it real quick. Just to make sure that you get all the way to the end of the vegetable with each swipe. Otherwise, you'll end up with exactly what I got here, a thick end, which for something as long as the cucumber is a little bit hard to not do, but cucumber. Like I said, I need to use up this cucumber. I don't think I'd normally make a cucumber salad with quite this much cucumber, but this one was on the cusp because it was starting to dry up. So we needed to get through it. And I think this would be easier with a seedless cucumber, those skinny ones with the plastic on the outside. Okay. The mandolin is all juicy and is going to go live in my sink until I can clean it. I don't think this part is worth eating because that's just skin. So there's a little knob here that I guess I can crunch on as a snack. But yeah, I don't use it very often, but whenever you come across a thing that the mandolin is for, nothing performs like the mandolin. There's nothing that can tear through a cucumber in those nice ribbons like that faster or more consistently than a mandolin. Oh, thank you for the moisten. Moist. Okay. So that's our ribboned cucumber. I do want it to set out a little bit before we get to it because it will soften up just a little bit. They're pretty floppy as it is, but they'll be nice and soft, so they don't all lay flat like a book, and they're all kind of when you plate them, they'll be all curly. It's not the only thing going in the salad. I thought ahead and decided that I wanted some red onion, which I only ever pick up when I specifically have an idea that calls for red onion. I never keep these on hand, and I don't know why. They're pretty decent onion. It's probably just because they don't come in a bag. Like white onion comes in a bag, so you can just grab a bag, or yellow onion comes in a bag. I'll just grab a bag of onions. Red onion always comes as loose onions, which makes me not seek it out unless I have a specific. Well, it makes me not buy it unless I'm seeking it out. Sounds like chemicals in two chats at once. Ho ho. No worries, chemical. Oh, I forgot to ask you. I was lurking a little bit. I chatted a tiny bit. I meant to ask you about that game you were playing earlier today. It looked kind of like Disney Animal Crossing. I was only tangentially paying attention because I was prepping myself here. Let's get these red onions ready to go. And I have a little tomato that we have to use because, oop, it's already gone brown in the middle, and it's got a little brown spot there. And fruit flies found it, which meant it was starting to smell good to fruit flies, which is a sign that it's not smelling good to me. So I'm aggressively taking parts off of it because I don't want to eat those parts. It's not as beautiful as the previous tomato, which was just absolutely gorgeous on the inside. Smells like a tomato. Smells like a tomato to me. But a fresh tomato doesn't attract fruit flies, and this one was. So they were smelling that brown spot for sure. And it was ripe when I got it, so it's been a week, I think. So it's one of the ones my guests brought. Oh, I was told I don't need to be coy about the guests. Bookwoman there in chat was my guest uh, last week. Who knows? Maybe you'll be invited next. Our friend over at our friend So Everdream has repeatedly said, "Oh, you should cook for me sometime," and I think he's joking, but who knows? He's in South Carolina, so one of us would have to travel, and we don't know each other personally. But who knows? We'll meet at TwitchCon or something. Become friends. I'm not going to TwitchCon. By the way, I'm not going to TwitchCon. Uh, TwitchCon is happening real soon. And last I heard, there were basically no COVID protections. Which I understand that we're coming out of it and things are loosening up a bit, but having a convention with just absolutely nothing seems like a terrible idea. Um, like I don't expect them to have like mandatory screening at the door, but you could at least say, oh yeah, everybody wear masks in the convention as a basic protection. I don't know. It does seem like a very Twitch thing. Purportedly, the reason they have no restrictions is because it's the rules for the county where it is being held, and the county had lifted their restrictions, so the convention was like, okay, no restrictions. Um, you know, whatever. I think that's enough for a salad. We just need a dressing, and the dressing is going to be a simple. Yeah, it's still around. People are being a little cavalier about it, but it's definitely still around. I'm going to make a simple dressing of rice vinegar, sesame oil, sesame seed, and I don't think I want to mix it in advance. I think I'm just going to do a drizzle of this, a drizzle of this, and a sprinkle of that, and call it a salad when I plate it. So we'll just have those guys ready. The chutney, warm to the touch, solidifying up a little bit, still looks nice. I just cleaned off that board because I was thinking, oh, I'm going to use it in a sec. But I'm not, because this is the wood board, and the next step is get that meat out of there, which means we need the plastic board. Because the meat has now been in here for around an hour, and because there is acid in my marinade, we're not doing a very long marinade. Because if you put a bunch of acid on your meat, it will go mushy. And it's actually a method of cooking. You can cook meats just using acid if you so choose. Someone has decided to call my phone right now, and they are going to voicemail because this is a bad time. This actually has cooked the meat a little bit. It's just ever so slightly grayish on the surface because I guess my acid balance was off, and this is more acidic than I was hoping for. I think I'm going to have to give it a rinse because I'm doing it in a cast iron. Let me go grab my cast iron. My cast iron pans, fortunately, don't have a place to live in the kitchen. I would like to hang them up, but they are very heavy. So here's the large cast iron. We'll get that in place over here. We're going to have to give the meat a quick rinse and then dry it. Because if I put a bunch of acid in my cast iron pan, it will eat off the seasoning layer, which isn't the end of the world, but it's not something you want to do deliberately unless you're planning on reseasoning your pan. So I'm going to rinse. I'm also going to rinse it off because I think I put a little bit too much acid on there, and I don't want to ruin my meat with excessive acid. Because we actually had two acids going on at the same time here. So he's gone a little bit gray around the edges there from when we saw him before. The enzymes and acids from the apples and also the vinegar have definitely started to work on this guy, and I'm hoping that they've pushed some flavor in there. But take this as a lesson. If you ever do a marinade with a lot of acid in it, it's got to be a short one, otherwise your meat is going to go gray. And I think we actually pushed a little bit over on this one. I think he probably should have come out 10 minutes ago. I was chit-chatting. And I was chit-chatting like some kind of Twitch host. How dare I? Anyways, we'll see how this affects the finished result. I'm hoping not a lot. We are going to come over to the stove because we're on the fun part. Little bit of oil in the pan. Gonna put that around with my hand before the pan gets hot for a nice even coating. Probably a little bit more than I needed. Now we're going to come back over to the meat, and I'm also going to oil the meat directly. I should have done this way. Just put it on my hand. Just a dribble on my, I'll show you. So we put just a dribble of oil on my hand, and then I rub it into the meat, and it gets the meat all nice and coated in oil without having a puddle, a swimming pool of oil. And it gets all those little nooks and crannies. So I already mentioned it twice now that it started to obviously chemically cook the outside here. You can see it turning a little bit gray. If you're making ceviche, ceviche is not raw. It's not cooked with heat. It's cooked with acid, and it's the same process being applied to it, where you are taking your raw fish ingredients and treating them with acid until they cook. The chemical changes to the proteins from applying heat versus applying acid are very similar, except that you can't get browning from acids. You have to have heat to get that the Maillard reaction that creates that surface browning on meat. So if you don't care about the browning, you can use acid to cook food, which is neat. And it only really works for some foods. I wouldn't do it with pork, or beef, or chicken. Well, you might be able to pull it off with chicken. Well, no, except for the fact that you wouldn't be able to kill the salmonella. If you've got guaranteed salmonella-safe chicken, you might be able to pull it off with chicken. But for this kind of meat, big steaks like this, it makes the meat go a little bit mushy. So, this has already been marinated. There was salt in the marinade. I don't think I want a ton more salt on it. I'm waiting for my pan to get hot, and then we're going to slap it in there, and hopefully we're going to pick up a good sizzle. I'm going to touch my camera lens for a sec here. Yeah. I think my image was blown out just a tiny, tiny bit. Okay. We are just waiting for that cast iron pan to start smoking a little bit. I'm going to move a few things out of my way. Wisps of smoke coming off of the pan is a sign that the oil has started to, is reaching around 400 degrees, which is quite hot. That's the temperature we're looking for, because I'm aiming for, we'll see if I succeed. I have an inconsistent track record with steaks of all kinds. I'm aiming for a medium to medium rare on this piece of meat. We shall see. I should get my tongs ready, because I'm definitely going to need tongs when I flip it. I don't need the tongs when I put it in there initially, but when I flip it, we definitely need the tongs. So we're going to explore this one together. I think I undershot last time I made this, and it was medium rare on one end and verging on rare on the other. And also this fat cap probably should have trimmed. It's a little bit thick, so we might end up resting it on the fat cap as well to try to get that to render off. But yeah, we just have a few moments to wait. This was, for me, not having a recipe. We have surprisingly plotted this one out well. The salad will be assembled on the plate, and all the parts are ready to go. The chutney is probably going to be improved by resting and cooling off a little bit. And the time it takes us to assemble the plate will be enough time for the meat to rest. So I think everything is like working out. I'm not stumbling over. I'm not scrambling around. I don't have a lot of waiting time. We have a little bit right now just because the pan needs to heat up, and you can't really do that too far in advance. Otherwise, the oil will burn. Oh, let me show off the new toy I just picked up. I just picked up a new toy. It's not gonna blow minds, but we've got a minute to kill here, so I will pop over. It is, and it's currently disassembled because I washed it. It's a tiny spring form, so I can make experimental weird cheesecakes without having to make a full-size cheesecake. Because that was one of the problems with making the cheesecakes was I had to make a massive thing every time I wanted to do an experiment. Got to get it put back together. Get back together. Okay, and then it goes right back together. I understand. It was at this one was actually at Savers, not Goodwill, and I know why they dropped it off. It's because they got food in the track where the layers come together. Hey, Felix. They got food in the track where the layers come together, and clearly did not want to take the time to fix it. But that means it was like $2 because they dropped it off at a thrift store and just abandoned this perfectly good thing. If I don't hold it in midair and actually do it properly, yeah. Turns out if you hold it in midair and try to put the thing on, you just can't get it to go. But if you do it properly and lay it flat, and yes, so I can now potentially attempt on a small scale some of my crazy flavors that I've talked about before scaling them up. So that'll be fun. My pan is smoking, so let's get over there. That's what I was waiting for. That pan is smoking. So we are getting in on that. And yes, for those who have been following me for ages and ages, one of my earliest projects was a weird cheesecake, and at that time I had other ideas for weird cheesecakes, and one of those was a smoked salmon cheesecake because salmon and cream cheese are already a good combination. And cream cheese is the main bulk of a cheesecake. And I determined that sugar is not a vital component, a structural component of cheesecake. You could not make, like, ice cream has to have sugar. It won't be structurally sound without sugar. Same thing with macarons, which I wanted to try making savory macarons, but it turns out you can't do that. They don't form without the sugar. Cheesecake, not so. The structure from cheesecake is unrelated to the sugar content, which means you can make savory cheesecakes. And I know some people will be like, ew, why would you even consider savory cheesecakes? Sweet ones are so good. Because it was there. It's my Everest. Because I haven't yet succeeded, because the pizza cheesecake came out weird. Um, pizza cheesecake, I thought the flavor was on point, but the texture was hard to deal with a pizza flavor. It was very mushy. Um, I think I might revisit that at some point and make it better. Anyways, we've got a pork steak. It had a nice sizzle, and it's already releasing from the pan. And I'm not. I'm. People say only flip your steaks once. I think that's hooey. I think that's a bunch of hooey. Uh, I think you can flip it as many times as you want to get the surfaces to look nice and browned. I'm not afraid to cook it and then flip it back to get this side to brown a little bit more. Because it's a little bit pale. I wanted a little bit more of a brown crust than that. I feel like I bumped my camera. Oh, I did. Oh, I did. No wonder. My tripod was slightly off center. Huh. Well, the more you pay attention to your equipment. I was rearranging the kitchen. I should have checked all my gear to make sure it was all in the same spot that it was supposed to be. Anyways, it's looking. That's a good start. I want to get this looking as good as I can get it. I don't really want to add a bunch more oil. The traditional thing would be to throw in some butter and butter baste it. But we've already got a bunch of flavor in there from the marinade. I'm not going to do the garlic and thyme and rosemary thing. Let's see if the side has released. Looks like it has. So when I say released, when you put when you put a piece of meat in a cast iron pan, the first thing it'll try to do is stick. But as the browning, and I push it over here because there's oil on this side because my stove leans a little bit this way. There's a butter shortage. Is there? I guess I'll have to hang on to the butter. I've got a couple of blocks of butter in the freezer. I've got some butter in the freezer. I guess I'll pay attention to the butter shortage. I didn't realize there was a butter shortage. A butter shortage heading into fall. That's not good. Good thing I stocked up and bought butter and froze it. What was I saying? Meat sticking. So the raw meat sticks to the pan, and then as it forms the brown crust, it releases itself from the pan. And you're supposed to not flip it until it naturally releases, because that means you've developed that crust. And you can tell when it's developed the crust without looking because of the way it sticks and then releases. I don't think we're going to get a perfectly even crust on this unless I do a baste, which I don't think I want to do with this piece of meat. Still soft enough that I think it's not gone over in this middle part, but I don't. This end part feels a little bit too soft. That feels like it's going. This part feels like it's going medium. This part feels like it's a little bit below medium in terms of squish. You're supposed to squish your finger here, and it's something. I forget exactly what it is. Um, Butter shortage, huh? Well, I stocked up on butter when I saw cheap butter not that long ago, but I will keep that in mind and not squander the butter I already have. Huh, I wonder what's causing a butter shortage. Okay, let's get this guy. He's firm enough to hold on to. I said he's firm enough to hold on to. Come on, man. Proving me wrong. I want to get him up on his fat cap for a little bit. Because that part was tough last time I had one of these. So we're going to hold him up and cook off that fat cap a little bit before I pull this guy off to rest him. Huh. You got me wondering about the butter shortage now, because a lot of our recent shortages have been connected to supply chain issues, largely overseas shipping supplies. But most of the butter that we consume here in the U.S. is produced here in the U.S. So now you've got me wondering what's causing the butter shortage. I will have to do some reading. I'm going to get a plate. No, I'm going to get him right on his cutting board. I recently cleaned this cutting board. We're going to move this guy directly to the wooden cutting board to rest. Take that off the heat. We're going to assemble our plate, but I want to get this off the heat so the oil doesn't burn. Okay. I think we have a good level of doneness. It's firm, but it's got a give to it, so it's not dried out to a nothing. We got some good browning in patches. We didn't get a nice even crust because I didn't bother with the butter basting element of it. I'm not going to slice into it right away. We've got to let it sit. I also didn't really time that out. I was just eyeballing it. I probably should have timed that out. We could do a. Tell you what, before it cools off, while it's still warm, I'm going to temperature probe it to see where we ended up. I'm going to serve it at this temperature regardless of what this says. $146, 7, still inching up because it's getting residual heat. We don't have to aim for 165 like we did in the 70s. Heat doneness temperatures. So according to that thermometer, we're somewhere between medium and medium well. I'm hoping it stops before it gets to medium well. But okay. It has to rest either way. That was the thickest bit right there, so I will assemble a plate. What plate should I use? This is going to sit to the side for a moment while I construct my plate here in the middle. Which plate are we using today? I kind of want to use the big brown one with the olive filigree on the edge because the meat isn't dark brown. Hopefully it's a little bit pink in the middle. The apple chutney is pale sand colored, and the salad is going to be bright green and bright red. So I think a brown backing will actually work for this dish rather than a pure white one. So we're going to go with that. This is the plate. And I will assemble my cucumber salad. Get these half zippered ones in here so that I can hide them under the full zippered big pieces. Good enough, I guess. Garnish us with our tomato and red onion slices. I definitely made enough salad for two. So this is the first time I've ever had or made or had a cucumber salad, with the cucumber being the main vegetable element. If this works out as a salad to my palate, this might fully replace lettuce salads in my house because I'm not a fan of lettuce. I think it's a waste, and I think it tastes bad by itself. The things that it goes on are strongly flavored, and the lettuce contributes nothing. Sprinkling of rice vinegar, a tiny, hopefully tiny, if I can control this, drizzle of sesame oil, and a sprinkle of toasted sesame seed. And there's the salad element completed. We will set the salad pieces aside. We're actually going to set the whole plate aside. Move the meat back to main event, and we're going to cut into this guy. I think he's been long enough sitting there. So we're going to see what it looks like on the inside. I think I want to just cut right through here so that I can take pieces off. And also so we can see right through the heart of it, the doneness. Moment of truth. What did we get? A little pink in the middle. I think we're on the well side of medium, but not too far off. Definitely more done near the edge than in the center. But that's not too bad. I'm trying to encourage people to cook pork less than burnt to a crisp. This thing is a little bit gristly on the end, I think. I'm not going to slice up the whole thing, but I want some that I can array on the plate so that we can see them. Push it to the side a little bit. This end bit might be a little bit gristly, but it's not too bad. I'm going to actually put the, drop the whole piece. We're going to put the whole other piece next to it. I'm going to arrange it with my fingers. This guy's not going to make the plate. We'll eat him, but he's a little bit gnarly. A little bit of gnarl on the end there, so it's not going to make our finished plate. But this part will. I haven't tasted this guy since earlier. But no time to do that now. We are just going to serve it up. Bring you to the front a little bit more so that the chutney can rest actually on the full plate. And then clean up that edge. There you go. That's a plate of food. It looks dark on the camera for some reason. It's not quite as dark in person. I'm sure it'll look great over on my camera station camera. But there we go. Apple marinated pork steak with an apple daikon chutney and a fresh cucumber salad. Ta-da! And I did it in a decent amount of time. Let me go take some quick snaps of this beastie, and then I will dive in, let you know how it tastes, and then we can go bother somebody else. And I feel like I am probably going to raid Billy today because Billy doesn't like pork because Billy overcooks his pork. And he says it's dry. And I tell him, don't overcook your pork. And it won't be dry. And he's like, but it's always dry. And it's a circular argument. And I think it's just a meme at this point. Come on, focus. Okay. One of those is probably in focus. Let's taste all the elements here and tell you about them real quick. Grab that fork I was using. Up first, pork steak, main event, with the chutney. Mmm. Pork and apples go well together. This is a good combination. The chutney by itself is very acidic and punchy, but it pairs well with a slightly greasy piece of meat. So this is a good combination. I think the pork is a little bit overdone. It's a tiny bit chewy, and I know it can be better than this because I've done it better than this. I think a longer marinade without the acid, a non-acidic marinade, like an overnight, would do this thing wonders. Or a dry brine with just salt. I didn't have time for that because I picked this up today. Oh, because I saw it at a very good price. I like this cut of pork. It does not. It still tastes like pork, but it's got a darker flavor to it, I guess. Um, it's not like pork chop. It's definitely has that porky flavor, but it's not that like, oh, I'm just having a pork chop. It's got a meatier flavor to it. Not quite full on beef, but closer. And it's just a matter of it being a different part of the pig. Let's try it completely by itself. It's leaking juices, so the part that was sticking up here is a little bit dried out. But tender enough. You can bite through it very easily. It's pretty good by itself. The marinade did not penetrate a ton. I think the marinade might have been a more for show than for results, which is fine. It was things I needed to use up anyways. It's good. If you're looking for a piece of meat that is budget friendly and acts like a steak, this pork shoulder blade steak, fits the bill for sure. It's a nice big piece of meat. It's very affordable. It honestly cooks exactly like a beef steak, and you leave it pink in the middle, and it's nice and juicy and tender. You can do all the same marinades and such to it. Good stuff. Last and certainly not least, our very fun cucumber salad, which I'm going to try to get a bit of each of the pieces in here. Mmm, 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 mmm. Eats like a salad, tastes like cucumber instead of lettuce. It's everything I wanted it to be. In terms of the plate, it's crunchy, it's bright, it's fresh, it's vegetal. It balances out this big slab of meat and this cooked acidic chutney. Completes the plate. It wouldn't be a dinner without the salad. And honestly, I'm going to probably do this more often. This is way better than a lettuce salad, in my opinion. The chutney by itself, it's mellowed out in the time it sat there. It's got a little bit of an acidic bite to it. The daikon stayed crunchy, which is interesting because the apples have almost gone to mush, but the daikons are still crunchy. They've still got a firm crunch to them, but they're not giving you a really strong radishy flavor. That's pretty good. I'll do that again. Okay, that's the plate. That's our show. I think I nailed this one coming into it with no recipe and just kind of throwing stuff at the wall, which goes to show how much I've progressed because early on I did that, just came in and threw stuff at the wall, and it turned into a mess more than half the time. So I hope it was as entertaining to watch as it was to make and eat. As always, I appreciate you all showing up. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy cooking. doing it with an audience just makes it better, especially when I can chat and talk. You guys are a little bit further in the corner now, so when I'm talking to you, I'm facing over here. But yeah, so I really appreciate everyone showing up and watching and interacting and chit-chatting. I really enjoyed last week having guests. I may attempt to invite guests more often. And who knows? I've got concepts and ideas and directions I would like to take the channel here. We just went through a reorganization of the house, finishing with a reorganization of the kitchen, and the next logical step would be a reorganization of all of my digital space as well. So I guess stay tuned. We'll see how that works. Let's pull up the raid window and see who is going right now. Billy is playing Grounded, and I do want to bother him right now because we made pork and he doesn't like pork. So we're going to go see So Ever Dream. I believe I rated him last week as well, but we're going to go see So Ever Dream. When we get there, say hi, use my emotes if you got them. I hope you got them. I don't have a fixed raid message yet, so that's part of my clearing up my digital space, I suppose. And yeah, I don't have much more to say other than thanks. And let's skip the countdown. I'm going to raid right now. Bam!